Hey you guys, Dr. Michelle Wolford here. Thank you for joining me in the kitchen. I just wanted to share with you an incredible recipe that I recommend to my patients typically during the winter months because that's usually when we see higher flus and colds and sicknesses. But I thought this would be a perfect time to share with you about the nutrient load that we've got going on here and how these foods can support you and your immune system, either in preventing you from getting sick or boosting your immunity, or let's say you are sick. These are great things that can help your body heal and recover. So here we go. I'm gonna just start here with what we've got going on. Let's start with the yellow squash. So I absolutely love yellow squash. I mean, besides the fact that it's super tasty, it's very high in vitamin A. And vitamin A boosts your immune system. It's actually also really great for your eye health, and it's great for skin health. Yellow squash is also very high in vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 is great for the liver. So it's great for the liver enzymes. So our liver is one of the main organs of elimination in the body. And so to be able to take in foods that are high in B6 supports how the liver functions and supports its overall health. It's got a big job. So you definitely want to find foods that are high in B6. B6 is also really great for any sort of elimination or detoxification, which again also supports your immune system function, because the less the body's got toxic-wise inside, then the better it's going to feel. Okay, so yellow squash is also very high in vitamin C. It's a reactive oxygen species, and it helps to reduce the specific inflammasome that we've been seeing with COVID-19. So this is also very high in vitamin C. Yellow squash is also really good with folate. Folate helps the red and the white blood cells. It's also really amazing for people that have been diagnosed with MTHFR. So this is a genetic SNP that a lot of people have. I mean, I would say 2 out of 3 of my patients usually test positive. And it's the inability to break down or to really transport the methyl factor. And so in a synthetic form, people have a hard time utilizing maybe the folate or the B12. But in a form like this is really, really great for people with MTHFR, and it's even better for cellular repair and anytime that somebody is trying to regenerate or grow tissues. So that would be like during pregnancy, birth, young kids, and also healing. Yellow squash is also high in magnesium. Magnesium is great for all energy functions in the body. So heart health, diabetes, headaches. It's great to fuel for the muscles, okay? And it's great for PMS and anxiety. So magnesium's awesome. And it's great for bowel health. Let's see here, yellow squash. Just kind of keep looking at my board here because I'm realizing this guy is just so nutrient dense that we will get to these other ones, but yellow squash is also high in manganese. Manganese helps reduce inflammation. It also helps regulate blood sugar, and it's great for bone health. So I love manganese. It's also really great for tendons and ligaments. Manganese is really awesome for that. Phosphorus, yellow squash is high in phosphorus, which can help you manage how your body stores and uses energy. It helps to reduce muscle pain after exercise. It helps filter out waste in your kidneys, which is amazing. I mean, your kidneys have such a strong responsibility. So every day it's helping your body eliminate. And then when you get sick and your body defends and you got a bunch of soldiers that are dead on the field inside of you, the kidneys is one of those routes of excretion. So we definitely want to make sure that we keep it healthy. And yellow squash, also because it contains phosphorus, helps to produce DNA and RNA. So that means it is part of the body's genetic building blocks. Okay, last thing about this guy, and then we'll move on, is that it's very high in potassium. So potassium is great for high blood pressure, for heart health, and for kidney health. And it's also anti-stress and anti-anxiety. So potassium is a really great nutrient that you can get in yellow squash. Any of these kind of root vegetables or similar, family of colors. So looking over here, we've got the yams. They have similar nutrient loads, okay? But this is actually very high also in vitamin C and vitamin A. And let's, since I've got this board here, why don't we talk about celery? Celery is amazing, and we're starting to hear a lot more about it. I mean, celery is really great for blood pressure. It's great for heart health. It's great for kidney health. It has some antimicrobial properties. I absolutely love celery, and I always love to add it into any of my soups or stews. Okay, why don't we move to garlic? I love garlic. I love the way it smells, I love the way it tastes, but I'm also part Italian, so it's just in my blood. But garlic is very antimicrobial by nature, meaning kills bugs, right? And it's also anticoagulant, so it reduces the blood thickness or viscosity. So I wouldn't say it's a blood thinner, but short version is yes, it helps do that. In the Middle East and East Asia and Nepal, garlic has been used to treat bronchitis. So we know with COVID-19, the whole issue is like the fear of pneumonia, the lung space. And this has been really great for antimicrobial for the intestines, but also for the lungs. It's great for hypertension. It's great for tuberculosis, liver disorders, dysentery, flatulence, which is gas, colic, which is kind of more like burpee, intestinal worms, rheumatism, which is the aches and the pains, diabetes and fevers. So I love garlic. And ginger. Ginger's amazing. I'll try to keep it short with the rest of these guys because they have so many similar nutrients to what we saw in the yellow squash, but ginger's also incredible. Smells great, great for digestive health, antimicrobial, but it reduces inflammation. And remember, we've been talking a lot about how people with higher inflammatory markers, people with higher IL-6, they typically are being more impacted by COVID. And so having less inflammation in your body is awesome. And this can help reduce inflammation in your body. Okay, let's move. Actually, let's go to jalapenos. I love jalapenos. They're very heat producing. So being able to produce the internal heat in your body is very important, especially if you think you're on the brink of fighting something, or maybe you are fighting something. And it too is very high in vitamin A and vitamin C. Onions. Okay, so I love onions. Onions are very antimicrobial, and it's actually a prebiotic. So we hear a lot about probiotics. Well, onions, as well as like asparagus and artichoke, they change the intestinal flora, microbiome, the pH. They really change this intestinal space so those good bugs can grow. And those good bugs, they just play such a significant role. They help break down your B vitamins. And your B vitamins are like anti-stress, you know? B vitamins are absolutely amazing. And this is what also helps keep and maintain the health of your digestive function. It's actually really great for prostate cancer too. So that's garlic, or onions. Let's talk about mushrooms, because we just got done talking about the B vitamins. So we predominantly hear about B2 and B5, so pantothenic acid, as being more powerful for the anti-stress, supporting adrenal function, anti-anxiety. But all of our B vitamins are amazing. Folate, B6, B12, they're super great for detoxification, immune system health. So, you know, B vitamins are huge. Mushrooms have so many medicinal purposes, and I just absolutely love them. Okay, how about broccoli? So these little trees, these guys are amazing. Broccoli is very high in folate and vitamin C as well. And broccoli also is high in DIM. So DIM is also known as diindolylmethane, which supports the immune system and it helps balance hormones, especially estrogen. So in really high doses, it's actually been known as potentially an anti-cancerous aid, especially with estrogen-based cancers. So I love broccoli. Okay, let's move over to kale. So here we've got collards and kale and a little bit of lemon. Well, let's start with the lemon actually. Lemon helps with phase 2 detox of the liver. So lemon is super, super powerful and I really love that. And then kale and collards are also very high in vitamin C, folate, but also vitamin K. Vitamin K plays a huge role in blood clotting, and it's also really great for bone health. Okay, and then actually let's talk about chicken. So I know there are people out there that choose not to eat meat, and for those who do choose to eat meat, I love adding this into my soups because I'm only going to talk about one amino acid in particular that we find in chicken, which is really great for your immune system function, especially against viruses, but that's lysine. So meat is very high in amino acids. The amino acid lysine is very antiviral. And so I really love to add in meat into my soups. It's also great for just extra energy and protein. And I usually keep the bones because the bones are high in minerals. And minerals are also extremely important with immune system function and supporting kidney health. Okay, so let me just turn this on really quickly while we get to these so we have a small heat. Okay, cilantro. So I love any kind of herbs. They're very antimicrobial and they're just so potent and, I don't know, magical and very medicinary oriented. So they've got so many medical properties that I really love all herbs, but I choose to use cilantro, which is actually known as a heavy metal chelator, meaning that it can help remove heavy metals from the body. So I really love that. I don't want that to get too hot where it gets steamy on us, so just take that back for a second. Okay, and then these guys, I don't put them in the soup that we're about to cook. What I typically do is I put it on top of my actual bowl of soup. So I'll slice up some avocado because it's very high in essential fatty acids, which are also very anti-inflammatory. It's just great for brain health and fat. Fat is good. We love fat. And tomatoes. Tomatoes are very high in lycopene, also very anti-cancerous, and is high in vitamin C. The last thing we have here is these microgreens. I love microgreens, high in antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin C. So that's a great thing to add to anything. A salad, on the top of a steak, in a soup, anywhere, anytime. Okay, so before we get started here, so we got our heat on. I really like to use any sort of organic extra virgin olive oil. And so I usually just start by turning this on very low heat. And I just sprinkle a little bit of olive oil into my pan. And I usually start with my herbs. So we're gonna throw in the garlic, and we're gonna throw in the ginger, and we're gonna throw in the jalapenos. Don't touch your eyes. And then we'll throw in the onions. Okay, so I like to stir this around a little bit, let them brown just a little bit. And after I do that for about 30 seconds to maybe a minute and a half, I mean, I just turned the heat on, so it may just take a couple seconds here. What I'm then gonna do is throw the chicken in here. Let the outside of the chicken kind of turn where it's cooked, right? So not cooked all the way through, but just gently cooked on the outside. From there, we'll end up adding the chicken broth, and then we'll add in the vegetables. We'll let it sit. You can either do it on a high simmer, and you can let it sit there for probably about 20 minutes and then let it sit on a low simmer, or you can just do a very, very long slow cook, which is how the Italians do it. Okay. So everything looks good there. We'll just add a little bit of this meat. I'm Italian, I use a lot of oil. Pinch of salt, a little bit of pepper, and I definitely add a lot of salt and pepper along the way. All right, we'll give that a hot second. So this part will usually take about maybe 2 to 3 minutes. And then everything else is just about throwing it in the pot. I mean, quite honestly, you can make this soup very, very quickly. The biggest thing is about cutting up the vegetables, so your prep time. And I typically use like bamboo cutlery. Not cooking in my own home, but we're using this as our demo. So if you can see, and I'll bring this over to you, you want it to be like lightly cooked. So I'll cook this just a little bit more. It's already starting to smell really great in the kitchen. All right, so that's about ready. So I'm just gonna get the broth. We're gonna throw the broth in, and then we're gonna take all of these veggies, minus the stuff that we put on top at the end, and we're gonna put it in there, and we are gonna let this simmer for probably about 10 to 20 minutes. And then we'll decrease the temperature from there and let it sit until it feels just perfect. So give me a second. All right. So I typically use chicken broth. As you know, with the COVID-19, the stores have been empty. So we're using our organic vegetable broth. Everything that has been in this soup is 100% organic. It is free-range chicken, non-GMO. So making sure that you actually eat really clean foods is so important. It's so important to your immune system, because then you don't have to deal with all of the heavy metals and the herbicides and the pesticides, because those are all immune disruptors. So right now this is about building immunity, right? Not stressing immunity. So we'll just go ahead and add these in. And I usually do 2 cartons. Sometimes I'll do maybe like 1 and then the rest with water, but for the most part I like it to be pretty tasty. So I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. Okay, and then we'll just start to throw things in, all right? So I'm gonna just go like this and throw these guys in. Add in our mushrooms. And then of course, our yummies. And our broccoli. And we'll save the lemon just here for a second. Then I'm gonna throw in my greens. So this is just such an incredibly nutrient-dense soup, and I love it. You know, I actually make this probably every Sunday, because when I come home from a long day of work and I just don't feel like cooking, this is a great thing to come home to. It prevents you from snacking on everything you wish you weren't snacking on, and again, it's just very nutrient-dense, so it's a really healthy, incredible meal that is really good any time of year. All right. So sometimes what ends up happening is, I'll show you, because this really is personal preference, like how you choose it. I really like a hearty soup. So let me show you. It looks like there's too much soup and not enough broth. You can maybe see it that way. But these vegetables will boil down. But if you want something more soupy, then of course you can fill a bowl with filtered water, and then you can throw it in here as well. So I'll just, for the sake of demonstration, we'll add more water. All right, so you can just dump that in. Perfect. Give it a little lemon squeeze. Awesome. Add a little cilantro now, and I save a little bit of cilantro for later. And then just again, I like to add in a little bit of salt and pepper. And don't feel like you have to be generous with the salt. It's good for you. So I like to give it a nice little stir. All right, and then we'll put the top on. And according to this kitchen, I'm gonna put it at a 7. So from high to low, I'll put it on a 7. When it starts to bubble, I usually let it sit there for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'll turn it down to about a 5 and let it sit there for about another 10 to 15. That's if I'm trying to do a quick version. If I'm doing a slower version, I literally will let it cook for about an hour to 2 hours because it just tastes so yummy. But you're eating it all week long, so it'll just get better and better each time. And I do not warm it up in a microwave because that kills food. I rewarm it right here, back up on the stove. So I hope you enjoy this soup. It's absolutely amazing, and I call it MK's Healing Broth.